This is Sudden Impact. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Sudden Impact, where I, John, bring you the news from TNA Wrestling. So in today's news, Saturday, 5th of October, the advertised lineup for TNA's Nashville tapings on the first evening. Eric Young details the reason for him leaving WWE, and backstage news on the Hall of Fame plans for Bound for Glory. So without further ado, let's get started. But first, are you liking this video? Want to see more? Like, share, and subscribe to this channel. It's free and it helps me produce more videos like this. So go ahead and do it, so I can continue to bring you the news from TNA Wrestling. So our first story contains a bit of a spoiler alert. So on Wednesday, the 2nd of October, TNA Wrestling held the first of its back-to-back Impact tapings, replacing the ones that they were supposed to have in Spartanburg that were cancelled due to the Hurricane Helene. These tapings took place in Nashville at the Skyway Studios. And as previously mentioned, these will be the final episodes of Impact leading up to the Bound for Glory pay-per-view. So there's a lot of build-up and hype going into these couple of episodes before the Bound for Glory pay-per-view. We can say that at least the first night of the tapings, which was October the 2nd, the matches that were scheduled were Mike Santana versus Brian Myers of The System, Josh Alexander versus Eric Young, the Hardys versus ABC, the TNA X Division champion Mike Bailey was in action, and PCO, Joe Hendry, and Sami Callihan took on the team of Moose, Eddie Edwards, and JDC of The System as well. And TNA World Champion Nick Nemeth faced off with Matt Cardona in the main event. So this should be a great show with plenty of potential matches being hyped for the Bound for Glory pay-per-view on Saturday, the 26th of October. So moving on, during an appearance on Insight with Chris Van Vliet on his podcast, former WWE and current TNA wrestler Eric Young spoke about requesting his release from WWE because he didn't want to work with Vince McMahon anymore. So he said, I was employed by them, WWE, for I think 8 or 9 months, but I think the majority of the world didn't know because I never appeared on TV. Then I was proposed a gimmick to work with 2 guys, one of whom was Bray, referring to Bray Wyatt, who unfortunately passed away before the team up could happen. So, which sucked and is unfair in every possible way. So I pitched some new ideas, but the previous person I worked for forced his way back into the company. So this was long before all the other stuff would come out, but I was convinced how he was professionally and knew that I couldn't work for him as a human being, for a human being like that. So I asked for my release and was granted that. So I'm not saying any of the stuff because I had to sign an NDA. So this speaks volumes to the kind of person Eric Young is and how he had values and ethics and just didn't want to work for WWE as soon as Vince came back, because he knows that Vince is a terrible person and And that's all I'm going to say about that. But that takes courage, and my respect goes out to Eric Young for actually realizing that and just having the courage to say, I don't want to work in a company for a person like that. So finally, heading into this year's Bound for Glory, it has raised a few questions regarding whether there will be an inductee announced for the TNA Hall of Fame. Now, according to one source, there's been talks behind the scenes regarding a few options for this year's Hall of Fame inductee. While nothing has been confirmed yet, the Hardys are near the top of the list of legends that TNA might induct. There are also many within the company who are wanting current WWE and arguably the most recognizable name in the history of the entire company, AJ Styles, to be inducted. So hopefully TNA announces who they will be inducting relatively soon. Hopefully there was a segment or two filmed in one of the tapings announcing who they'd be inducting. So but we'll just have to wait and see if there's any information about that in the tapings in the next few weeks of Impact. Personally, I'd like to see both the Hardys and AJ Styles inducted, as both have had fantastic careers in TNA and in like wrestling in general. So let me know who you'd like to see TNA induct into the Hall of Fame in the comments. And so that's all for this episode. So please remember to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments on any of the stories I've discussed. And until next time, I'm John, and this has been Sudden Impact.